Oh, I'm going to take my glasses off for this one. Okay. We've had a couple days to digest the Phillies season ending, and I don't feel any better about it. Honestly, I thought that the human element would come into play. I thought that I'd feel for Orion Kerkering. I don't. Just like I didn't feel for Ben Simmons when he decided to pass up a dunk. I feel for the fans. I don't feel for the athlete who's getting paid. And I think if I'm being quite honest with you, if this wasn't a Phillies player, if this was like, let's say, a Detroit Tiger, I probably would have the human element. I probably would feel bad for him in that moment. I don't, all right? If that makes me a piece of shit, that makes me a piece of shit. I feel bad for me, who felt like I was going to get kicked in the nuts, was waiting to be pleasantly surprised, and then, oh, by the way, I got kicked in the nuts. So, but Orion Kerkering was put in a tough situation, as I said in my post-game video. Orion Kerkering should never have been in that situation because Orion Kerkering was absolutely terrible all season long when coming in with inherited runners. And you know what? This situation was not his fault. He actually made the right pitch. He just made the boneheaded play of going to home when he should have went to first. But being put in that spot, that's not on him. That's on the manager. And as I put out a video after game 2, I am completely done with Rob Thomson. I'm done with Rob Thomson. I'm done with Kevin Long. This wasn't a situation that was building for me. I didn't think I'd be making this kind of claim going into the postseason. But the postseason for me was an absolute disaster from top to bottom by Rob Thomson, whether it be roster construction of the NLDS playoff roster or whether it just be bad decision after bad decision after bad decision. Honestly, it's harder for you to find a good decision he made than what am I trying to say? It's hard for you to find a good decision. That's my point. I think Rob Thomson will be let go. So then the question becomes, if he is let go, then who is the next Phillies manager? And I'm pretty sure I have the answer to that. I tweeted out a little blurb from NBC Sports Bay Area, the San Francisco NBC Sports affiliate. And it was all about Bryce Harper and his free agency. If you remember, free agency for Bryce Harper came down to like 3 teams. It was the White Sox, it was the Phillies, and it was the San Francisco Giants. And apparently, the Phillies were, the Giants, I should say, were $20 million off of the Phillies' offer. And money wasn't really an issue for Bryce. I mean, obviously he wanted to get paid, but as we saw from the Phillies' contract, it wasn't a situation of a ton of opt-outs. He wasn't looking to reset markets in a couple years. Like, it was like he wanted stability. He was content with, slumming it for $25 million per. He really wanted to be in a good situation. He initially thought that San Francisco could be that spot for him, but he had one question. And that was the manager, Bruce Bochy. Bruce Bochy ends up having 1 year left on his deal when Bryce Harper signed, and he wanted to know, hey, how long are you going to be around for? And ironically, Bryce Harper ends up signing with the Phillies, and Gabe Kapler is his first manager who ends up going to San Francisco, much like Philadelphia, having a little bit of success early on, and then it all came crumbling down. But Bruce Bochy is now on the market. He's a free agent. He's an old-school veteran baseball guy. And when the Phillies eventually move on from Rob Thomson, and I'm convinced that they will, because how honestly could you not? Just seems like he's kind of the Brett Brown model of, look, it was a cute story initially, and it's great, and he can get you to the postseason, but can he win the postseason? He just keeps coming up short. I think that Bruce Bochy will end up being your manager for the 2026 Phillies. I think Bryce Harper is going to have a big role in who they end up picking. And I don't have a problem with that because when you look at GM Bryce Harper, he is correctly picked more times than he is incorrectly picked. Like, I can think of a couple examples of when he championed for a guy and it didn't really work out. I mean, I don't know if anyone remembers the Spencer Howard video of, Spencer Howard isn't in our starting rotation, then something's wrong, and obviously Spencer Howard ends up flaming out. There was a relief pitcher that he wanted signed that wasn't very good. His name began with a K. Hit thumbs down for that because I don't know who it was. But for the most part, if Bryce Harper has wanted a guy, it usually ends up being the right move. And I think Bryce Harper, once they move on from Rob Thomson, Bryce Harper is going to go to bat for Bruce Bochy. That's who I personally want. This is a guy who is a couple years removed from a World Series championship, which amazingly, the Phillies would have played the Texas Rangers, Bruce Bochy's team, had they just been able to get over the hump and finish out the vaunted Arizona Diamondbacks, but they couldn't do that. And it seems like the Diamondbacks broke the Phillies in that run. But I think Bruce Bochy is going to be the guy, and that's who I want. Now, the question is Bruce Bochy want to manage? He is old. I can't tell you how old he is. Once again, hit thumbs down. It's not like I did my research, but he is an old veteran baseball guy. But I think this is the guy that I personally want. I want a guy with feel, because I felt like Rob Thomson went too heavy with numbers in terms of like lefty, righty, lefty, righty, lefty, righty. I hated it. There was no feel for this series. I guess you could make the argument, though, that maybe there was, because he didn't go with the numbers when bringing in Orion Kerkering. He didn't go with the numbers when bringing in Matt Strahm. He didn't go with the numbers when holding out Tanner Banks. Guys that with the numbers would tell you, hey, this is a guy that you don't bring in with inherited runners. This is the guy that you do. So I guess maybe he did have a feel. It was just the wrong feel. I need a guy like a Charlie Manuel who has a feel for the postseason and knows how to win in the postseason. On the flip side, you might go, look, would you be making this video if Bruce Bochy didn't win in Texas? Maybe not. I don't know. Probably not, if I'm being frank with you, but he did. He did win in Texas. He did win a championship. He's not too far removed from it. And he's a well-respected baseball guy that I think can get you over the hump and will perform much better than Rob Thomson did this past offseason. But then again, how is it? I mean, how you could have done a better job, I think, than Rob Thomson. I can think of like one decent move he made, and that was the piggyback of Aaron Nola and Ranger Suarez, and I guess getting Aaron Nola out of there before the really big inning ended up happening and bringing in Ranger Suarez. But other than that, it was disaster after disaster after disaster. And I think when you look back at this postseason run, a lot of it is set up by bad move after bad move by Rob Thomson, whether it be hitting Brandon Marsh fifth in the lineup, whether it be bringing in Orion Kerkering in that inning, whether it be leaving David Robertson in. The list goes on and on and on. I think that's why it's going to end up costing him his job. Other than that, I don't really have a hard-hitting name for you. I just want Kevin Long and Rob Thomson gone. I'm keeping Caleb Cotham. I'm giving him whatever amount of money he wants, because I think you have seen substantial growth from this pitching rotation under Caleb Cotham's tutelage. But when it comes to the manager, when it comes to the guy making the decision, when it comes to the guy making the lineups, I want an old-school veteran baseball guy in there. I don't want a new-age analytic guy who's going to look at VORP and XFLOR and all that crap. No, I want a guy who's got a feel for the game. And I think that Rob Thomson at one point did have a feel for the game. And it's not like he necessarily lost it, but every button he pressed ended up being the wrong move. And that has happened now in 3 straight playoff appearances. So it's time to move on. I want to bring in Bruce Bochy. And I do think the connection between Bryce Harper and Bruce Bochy, Bryce Harper saying previously, I want to play for Bruce Bochy. I would love to play for Bruce Bochy. And really the only reason he didn't seem to want to sign with San Francisco was the uncertainty of Bruce Bochy's future in the Bay Area. I think that is going to have a big part of it. So if I had to put my money on the Phillies manager next season, I am putting it heavily on Bruce Bochy returning. Bruce Bochy ended up, you guys know what I'm saying. I am a mess right now. I'm like Rob Thomson. I'm a fucking mess. All right, please subscribe. I need subscribers. As soon as I get 1,000, I will stop begging, but the monetization threshold is 1,000, so I can start getting paid and get off the pole. Hit thumbs up, hit thumbs down, and tell me, would you end up bringing in another manager? Would you end up bringing in a Bruce Bochy? Would you have another name? Or am I being too harsh? You end up running it back with Rob Thomson. There's no wrong moves in this situation, you know. Just let me know in the comment section, and as always, go Phillies.